Ayisha, hey, congratulations, final season of Transplant.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting times, interesting times.
You know what? When this series first came on here in the United States, this was my pandemic go-to series at the time. I just like binged watch, through this medical show, and this was the medical show to watch. But 5 years, 6 years has been a very long time. Can you talk about your personal journey and how this changed you? This show has changed you throughout those years.
That's such a great question. So one of the things that I love the most about being an actor, I didn't really grow up thinking this is what I was going to do. But one of the things that it's brought to my life is it's been very therapeutic. It's allowed me to really kind of dig through my personal experiences, traumas, challenges as a person, and to process them through these characters that I've had a chance to play. And I think that June is, the character that kind of resembles me in a lot of ways that I had hoped to and wanted to work on. And Joe wrote a character that allowed me to process a lot of real experiences that I'd gone through over the years. That it was it was almost surreal because I would, he'd write things and I'd get scripts and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I've lived these type of experiences, but I, you know, have not necessarily lived them out loud, lived them vulnerably, and it allowed me to really kind of process those emotions and share those feelings and those experiences with the world behind the comfort and the safety of a character who's not real. So it's been just very therapeutic. I think that I've become a truly more emotionally intelligent, more vulnerable, more settled, more confident person. Um, I have let go of a lot of things I think that I was carrying around with me,
Yeah.
truly. And it's it's funny because June has is going through the struggle this season as a woman with a career, trying to figure out what she wants to do with a family life, and not being sure how to approach that, and always wanting it, but not sure how to integrate that. And this is something that I'm actively living now after kind of processing a lot of those feelings, those emotions with June. I am convinced that that's made it easier for me to move closer, more in that direction myself as Ayisha, as well. So it's changed everything. It's changed everything. Yeah, very grateful.
So you're saying you embrace the character June because I was going to ask about, getting into that mental state of June because she puts up walls. Her character puts
Mhm.
up walls with everyone because of all the stuff that she's going on all the stuff that she thinks about. And I was going to ask you whether you turned that on and off after playing that character in the series.
Well, there was like running gags that there'd be moments and times when people would look at me and be like, "Well, that was a June moment," like in my real life, like the rest of the cast and stuff, because we're all close friends, and it's perfectly appropriate for them to say things like that. But yeah, so I mean, I built my entire career up until that point on playing these like really tough, often psychopathic, like lacking of emotion, very hard, rough characters. And I think that it was very easy for me to kind of present that as a defense mechanism, as a way of kind of creating distance between me and other people. And this character gave me an opportunity to explore, building relationships based on vulnerability and opening up and changing and evolving. And so I think that that's something that I became capable of turning on and off. But I'm not so sure that I was as good at doing that at the beginning of the show as I am now. I think that I'm now able to turn that more kind of reserved, hard, tough part on. Whereas before, I think that it was kind of always on and I had to work really hard at turning it off. And now it's kind of like I can choose to turn it on, and usually I don't, but so I don't see a point in it anymore. I don't need to as much anymore. But I attribute that for sure to this process. Yeah.
Now, you've been on many shows before, and especially this one that has lasted for a season. How do you prepare to say goodbye to a series like this, and especially all the friends that you have made?
I feel like sad thinking about this again, but it's funny because I remember that point in time where it's like I understood cognitively that we were and the show was ending and everything was going to change and we'd all been talking about it. There was a marked point in time, and I think it's when Dr. Singh had his last day. I like burst out into tears, like I couldn't stop crying. Could not stop crying. And that became the trend until the rest of the show. I think I don't remember how long we had left. It was a couple weeks left or something, but like I was so emotional and so sad because I have a tendency towards delayed responses, delayed emotional responses. But um, but yeah, it became like very, very real that these people who had become like family to me. We were talking about the effect that this has had on me as a person. All of that became very in my face and like very, very tangible and very real of really thinking about how these individuals had helped me grow and evolve as a person, how much of me they'd known, how much they'd drawn out of me, how much of me they'd seen and gotten to know. And I think they know me better than some people who've known me my entire life. So so it was really hard. It was really, really hard. It was definitely a real experience of mourning a loss. Um, and like knowing that everything was going to be different and it wasn't going to be the same. As much as we love and we care about each other, we're all over the country, we're all doing different things. It's hard when you wrap something to maintain that tightness, that little bubble. And so like watching it kind of fall away piece by piece as people filmed their last scene was like heartbreaking, really.
Very, very true. And you've been at this for 5, 6 years now, playing a doctor on screen. And I'm just curious, is how do you watch other medical shows, or do you try to avoid them?
I don't. I I had a severe phobia of needles going to this. Like it was like the running one of the running gags is like they hired the person who was like the least capable of dealing with the blood and the PPE, the PPE gear and the needles and stuff to play the surgeon who's supposed to be the least affected by all of this stuff. But like between scenes, I'd watch them set up these beautiful, medical scenes with all the fake blood. I was very aware that everything was fake. I know how everything works, and I'd still have to like sit down between sets, between shots. I passed out at one point, had to like come around, they're always surrounding me with fans and water. I was like a child. It was, this was like the reality of me shooting these scenes. So, I'm definitely not somebody who was like sitting around watching medical dramas or medical shows. I avoided hospitals like the plague. I've become a lot better at dealing with needles now. It helped me, like the exposure therapy helped me with like blood tests and stuff. So I'm actually able to go and not have a complete meltdown when I need to get blood drawn or get an injection. But that's not who I was going into this at all. Like, least likely person to play a doctor. I think at some point my agent had to like kind of talk me off the ledge of being like, I don't want to play doctor for 4 years. They're like, well, hold on a second. Let's think about this for a minute. Cause I was like, like that was not the direction I thought and no part of me wanted that part of this experience, but I'm glad that I did it. Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you did it too. And let me wrap it up with one quick question. Since all of this is ending, and you came from, the action sci-fi world, are you ready to return back into it? Because I know you're such a, athlete yourself, with your jujitsu skills, and you're probably itching to demonstrate that back on screen.
I am. I got to play a pro wrestler in the 80s in a feature film that I shot with Chris Jericho and Stephen Ogg and a bunch of other great cast members. And so that kind of gave me a taste of it. But you're right. Like I came into this because I loved the idea of being able to combine this, emotional art with this physicality. And then they pulled me out of it to play doctor for 4 years, and they didn't let me kill anybody on purpose, anyways. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, there's something about sci-fi and action that I'm just really drawn to. It's not the stuff that goes and wins awards and all that, and I'm totally fine with that because I love the fact that, you get the cool costumes, you drive the cool car, you get a big gun, you have a fight scene, you say some stuff that would never pass in real life because sometimes it's, really cheesy or out there. But it's just so much fun and it's so creative, and the boundaries of reality are pushed in a different way. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to doing some of that.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us about Transplant. I can't wait to hear about your next chapter in life, but Transplant has a really good ending. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.